Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It is March 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and not a lot going on today. It was a nice trend day, but really there were a few trades into the FOMC news, and really this set up perfect. I mean, you can see we pulled back to this trend line again and then double tested it, and you got a big bullish bar there, but it's going right into that news. So, you just be crazy to fool with it. You're better off to stay out. And really, it didn't settle back down until maybe 1:30 or so. Actually, I probably wouldn't. And notice this play, you got a channel working down. We get a break, a new low, and then one more push lower, and then we turn up. So this is close to being blue here. It is right off the midline there. So you could probably argue for that one to be blue. It's real close, but it's right into that EMA. That's got to be a little bit of concern. You see, we did pull back, and it does turn back, and that one's right into the upper trend line. So you don't know that it didn't go here and turn back down. So you might could argue for that one to be blue. We'll talk about it again in a minute. So there's just not a lot of trades today. And this is kind of what you'll get a lot of times going into FOMC. I was really surprised we were rallying here. About 10:30, it started rallying. It finally got through this resistance. And even though this is a range, you can see we're making higher lows every time we pull back. And that's a sign that we're probably going higher. So you got to pay attention to that. That's what causes wedges. It's my opinion there's no such thing as wedges. And really what it is you've got resistance here, but you still got a trend line working up, and that's what makes it look like a wedge. And we traded up into this little range, and so you figure if we're going to be successful on the breakout, that we'll probably break out to the upper side. And if you measure that first move up, and then from where we started back up again, which is right there, that gives you a target right here. And you see we overshot that a little bit. So that would have been my target. But let's talk about the trades. This one right here I really want to talk about because this is a tough trade. It's going to trip up a lot of people. Notice we're moving up. You get a break of this. You got a trend line working up there. You get a break. You get a close outside and a retest for a low. But I'm going to tell you, before I'd want to go long right into those highs right there, you can see there's a little double top right there. I want to see another failure low. We actually get one here, but by that time you can see this resistance failing over and over. So you don't have much room there. I doubt I'm going to go long right there. So what you want to do, but notice what happens if you measure this first leg and then move this over. That's a perfect measured leg. Now you've got two legs down, so now you're probably going to bounce. Plus you got a lot of room for prices to move up now. So this is where your trade is at. I'm guessing I got a lot of questions about this one. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of people didn't get trapped right here as well. And you might have gone short right there. And if you did, you're in more trouble. But you should have been seeing that measured. You should have been looking for that measured leg and realize that's right into that low right there as well. So that's a reason not to go short. You might have considered going short here. Again, you don't have a whole lot of room into that double bottom. And you see it did bounce there before it turned back down. But this one was worth considering because you got this high here. You've already tested this high once, twice, and then you get a double top there and a big bearish bar. So you might consider that one. It's real close to being able to call that red, but I'd still be leery of it. This was your best opportunity right here. This is the one you want to take. And then we come up and we test those highs again. We turn down, but you can see we're going sideways there. So you don't want to be going short. And when you finally get a little failed break lower, so you get a chance to enter way down here. And this does confirm this trend line. It is a little failed breakout. It is a higher low. We're probably going to come back up to test these highs right across here. And hopefully you're going to test the high of the day now, because this is probably going to trap some people. Notice that low. They're really the first entry short is right there, or the second entry short. I'm sorry. You got a new low, first entry, second entry, but you're more going sideways. This is really still all one move, even though it's just so choppy. It looks like a failed second entry short, but it's really all one move. And then you get your actual failed second entry short right there. So, and you can see we fall out of that little trading range, and what's going to usually happen, you're going to go out the other side and probably fail out the other side. So I like that one for long, the fact that it confirms that trend line as well. Then we pull back again, and notice that you'd probably move this down now to those lows, and notice it bounces right off those lows, closes inside that trend line once again. You don't have a lot of room back up to these highs, so that's what concerns me. It could have easily turned back down, and maybe even turned down and stopped you out. So you had to be concerned about it. You're better off to see if it pushes through. And notice what happens here. This is basically a double bottom. It's a new low regardless because of this. So that's a new low. You're coming back. You push through finally. First entry short. You push on through. Second entry short. Breakout pullback. That's the one you want to take. And so I like that one. We're probably going to move on up. Now, you don't know this is going to go up that fast and that far, but you're probably going to move on up now. So I like that one. And then that one actually takes you right into the news hour, or right into the noon hour. So, and you really don't want to be trading after about noon. And you can see, I think, I forget which one of these bars is actually the time, 12:07. So noon is right in here somewhere. But you're just going sideways into the noon hour. You don't want to trade that. This actually needs to come down about like that. So this is all off limits really in here. And this is kind of, you can see it's kind of getting back to normal in here. I'd probably keep this over to maybe right about there as well. And this would have been the first chance you got to enter. And like I said, this one is real close. There's enough reason to take that trade if you really wanted to. It's a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. But more than that, you got a break, move to a new low, and then you got a little trap. Notice how it went one tick lower and turned up and closed way on its high. It's really hard for a bar to trade all that way down and then trade back up and almost close on its high again. That takes some buying pressure. And so look at it go. And then, of course, there's another pullback. You push through the EMA and pull back, and this is really, you could really treat that like a failed second entry short almost, but it's long right into that high, so you got to be concerned about it. But by this time you might have moved this on up at least to right here. You wouldn't have had this further highs over here, and then you can take your midline, oops, and notice how it fits there. Fits perfectly. So that gives you another reason to consider entering right there. And really that was it. Even though it was a pretty good move today, because of the FOMC news, there's just not a lot going on. And yeah, if you got trapped over here, you shouldn't have got trapped here after seeing that double top there and how many times we turned down. Let me move my line back down. You can see that resistance across there. So there's no reason to get trapped right there. If you did, you just made a mistake. Here, the only really thing you can look at is that even though you're moving up, look how light that volume is. That, I mean, that's all overnight. That's from 3:15 yesterday afternoon to 7:30 in the morning. There's no volume there. So that's not a trend really. I mean, this is, you know, from to be that close from the overnight lows and highs, this has trading range written all over it, and you got to be careful going long right into that. So yeah, it might have gone up and it might have made a new high, or it might have even made a second leg up, but this is a good reason, this is a good learning experience to say, hey, I better wait on another failed attempt to go lower, and that happens here. And even though that still looks like a good trade, by that time you got enough evidence to say, hey, I'm not dumb enough to go long into a triple top there. So this one is a little easier to see than this one would be. So yeah, normally what I'll do on a day like this is I will want another failed attempt to go lower that takes off. But I would have wanted to see this move go higher. And if, of course, if this move goes higher, then this really doesn't fail. But I wouldn't go long there even if that would have gone higher, if that makes sense. So this is looking like a range day. We just came off the top, and with finding that much resistance across there, we're probably headed down to the lows. Turns out the lows are this pullback and not this one, but it's still the same thing. You're just in a range here, and you're making higher lows every time. So that's your clue that we're probably going to break higher. Plus, there's another clue. We traded up into this range, so the odds are when we get a successful breakout, we're going to go out the other side. We're going to go out the same way and be successful. You may get a few fails each direction, but eventually you'll be successful going out the high side in most cases. So some good learning opportunity here. Again, that one's just kind of tough. You're so close to notice all those stems up there and where the closes are, and notice there's stem on top of these two. So going long, you're going long right into those highs right there. Of course, the major highs here, but you've had one, two, you've really got a double top right there. So you're going long right into a double top. So make sure you see that. Your chart could look a little different than mine, but I doubt it looks a whole lot different. You still probably have a little double top here, and so you're going long right into a double top without room to scalp out. So that's the only way to avoid that. There's days where I'd probably take that trade, but with all of that only being that low of volume, I mean, normally we should have had bars all the way to here, from here to here in the before 7 o'clock. And let me just move this all the way over. So when you look at that, knowing that this is where the yesterday afternoon, there's no volume there. And you can see that signal bar, it looks pretty good, but it didn't close on its high. This is very bearish. This is very bearish. You get that pull up there. So there's just no reason to go long right there. Not on what looks like a range day. Now, if it would have turned right back down here and bounced off that EMA again pretty quickly and you had more room in here, I'd say, yeah, maybe. But it did bounce right here and look kind of like what I'm talking about. But again, look how we're going sideways. Look how there's 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts to go higher that can't. So there's not much room back up into those highs. And so you don't, this one is a lot easier to see. If you didn't see that one, then you can just kind of kick yourself. This one, it takes a little sharper eye and a little more understanding. And even then, this might have worked, but you probably just don't want to take it. So, for the reasons you see right here, when you made this high right, this touch right here, and then you're still going sideways, it gave you 3 or 4 bar chance to get out right there. But when it turned higher right there and starts working back down, you better exit and take a break even or try to get a tick out of it or whatever, because it should have pushed on up by that point. So when it couldn't get through there, that was your signal. And I know I tell you not to monkey with your trades, but if you recognize that you're trapped, most likely, especially when it broke higher here and starts working lower again, you better get out of that thing. And you may not have had much time there. I can't remember how fast that moved. And you might have went short right there. Even there, I really don't like it because there's not a whole lot of room back down to here. So, but when you test a high that many times, you're probably going to make another leg down pretty soon. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and finish up our week. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.